Hi, everyone. Welcome in. And yes, we are starting early today, 30 minutes early. How are you guys doing? Pull up the stream.
She's representing herself.
On charges of conspiring to murder her fourth husband.
She said, I can murder you now.
She really thinks she's equipped to try this case.
She appears very sure of herself.
I have real trial experience.
It's going to be a strange trial. We'll see how it plays out.
The Cult Mom Conspiracy Trial. Live coverage begins Monday morning, only on Court TV.
Hey, Blanco. No worries. I've been MIA too for the last couple of days. It was a nice weekend. Did you guys have a good weekend? Did anybody get any sun or anything? It's been beautiful here in Alabama. This is supposed to start at 12. I said that wrong. 12:30, yeah. 12:30 my time. So I'm actually a little bit earlier than norm. Normally we start around 1 o'clock. And I'm trying to think. I've got some good stuff for you guys today. I've got Melanie Gibbs. I've got... wait till y'all hear, if you have not heard the audio of Charles calling the insurance beneficiary, or calling the insurance company to change his beneficiary stuff. Hey, Bama, good afternoon. Good to see you. Oh, it's rainy there, Blanco. I'm sorry. Hey, Stevens. You had a nice brunch with friends. Ooh, look at you. Friday, I went to the casino. And one of the ones over here has a new buffet that they just opened. Because, they used to all have buffets. But then when COVID hit, they closed them all down. This one just opened back up. Oh, it was fabulous. Because I like to get a little bit of everything. I don't want to go all in just on the chicken, right? I want to get this, and just try it all, right? So I kind of did that. I did like a taste test of everything because I'd never been there before. It was so good. They had like seafood, and they had an Italian station, which I didn't even bother with. A Chinese station. They're Chinese, but they had the carved meat and all that. It was so nice. So that was my Friday afternoon. I went and had to go play on my little 25-cent slot machine that's got the $89,000 progressive jackpot on it. I swear I'm going to win it one day, very soon. That's what I believe in my mind. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Valentino. Good to see everybody. Oh, it's chilly there, huh? Oh, it's really pretty here. I want to refresh the screen.
Vallow Daybell.
Already
No,
convicted for the
want all
murders of
that.
her children.
Doomsday Cult Mom is...
I don't want all of that. Wait, I'm on the wrong stream, y'all. Hang on. Oh, for crying out loud. What is wrong with me? This is the one we want. Day 5. Day 5. Okay, so who do you guys think we're going to see today? I think we're going to have some more family come in. They haven't had Colby up yet. I don't know if they're going... Honestly, in this trial, I don't know if they will have Colby up. He was really prevalent to the other trial because of this connection with his brothers and sisters. But I don't know necessarily if they'll call him. Now, I do know that she has him on the witness list. Let me show you guys this witness list she's got up here. I forgot that I'd put it on here for y'all. It's kind of hard to read. Well, you can see it, though. So she's got Barry Cox, her other brother, Zachary Cox, who is Adam's son. I don't know I guess she won't recall Adam Cox since he's already. Janice Cox is her mother. Summer Shislett is her sister. Brandon Boudreaux, they took him off the list. He's the one that she tried to have done over. I don't know who this Gabrielle Bonilla is, or Joseph Pongratz, Ashley Rind. That sounds familiar, though. And Vaisla. Oh, I can't read that name. Anyway, I bet those two top people, top 3 or 4 people, I bet those are all church friends. I know I was this weekend I did a lot of exploring on this case and I found all kinds of audio footage like uh an old neighbor in Hawaii that had called and to let police know that there was just some suspicious things that she was saying. Let's see what else. What is on this list right here? Yeah, that there's nothing to that right there. So what is her dad still alive? Oh, there's a screen. Okay, good. I got it. Is her dad, Lori's dad, still alive? Does anybody know? Because I think she had a falling out with her dad. Oh, and this weekend, I guess Colby did an interview with Hidden True Crime at some point. And then something triggered him. I think it was yesterday or maybe it was Saturday night. He did a live stream because he said he's tired of people that have nothing to do with the case speaking out as if they were like right there involved with everything. And my first person that I went into was Melanie Gibb because I thought, is that who he's talking about, Melanie Gibb? Because she's the one who I have a bunch of footage of today that we're going to watch during our lunch break. But she's like an interview whore is what I'd like to call her because she's been on everything she can to say, to get her face out there. Look, I don't know her, but when you listen to the testimony that we're going to listen to today from the first trial that she was doing, it amazes me how she didn't question things with all the things that were said that she overheard. It took her a bit to start questioning things with Lori, and I'm like, really? You did that part right there didn't trigger you, or that part right there didn't make you go, something doesn't seem right. Like for instance, everybody's evil. Her husband, first it was Charles, right? The one that she's on trial for in this particular case. Charles is evil zombie. The evil spirits have taken over him. Blah blah blah. All of a sudden, and then she tells her that Charles is going to pass away in a car accident. And then when he doesn't pass away in the car accident, she says, well, and JJ was supposed to be in the car too when it happened. And when he doesn't, Melanie says, well, I thought you said he was going to pass away. She said, well, no, the plan fell through. Okay, so that didn't make her go to police. No. So then when she starts calling the kids zombies and saying that they have evil spirits in them, she still doesn't go to the police. Even though it's shown that what was done to Charles after she said he was like isn't that the clue? Like it's like you catch on, right? You're like, wait a minute, didn't you say the same thing about your husband who we pretty much know was shot by your brother? I don't know. I just feel like how naive can this woman be? I just don't think she's that naive. Hi Mark, I've had a lot of coffee. I've been at the casinos this morning. Lots of coffee. It was freezing cold in there. Why did they make the casinos so cold? I literally wear my sweatshirt. I had on, Shannon made fun of me and my sister because I had on snow boots the other day because they have that insulation in them. She said, Kerry, it is like 70 degrees outside. I said, I don't care. If I'm going to sit at a slot machine for 5 hours and play my 25-cent slot machine, I am not going to be cold. And I'm tired of my toes getting numb. It gets that cold in there. Did you hit 3K yesterday? Oh, yeah, you shyster. You shyster. I don't gamble on Sunday because it's the Lord's Day. I waited till after midnight and then I got in my car and I went to the casino. And I lost some money and then I got it all back. And then I said, oh, how convenient. I got all my money back and now it's time for me to go do the live stream. So it worked out good. You guys were a great excuse for me to get the heck up out of there. Trying to think if I hit anything I did hit some stuff this weekend, Mark. I had a hand pay because I'd gotten a couple of medium hits. And so I took my money over to the high limits room and I put the $5 in and I did the one bet, you know, and I hit a $2,500 slot. Now, after they take taxes out, you don't get to see it all, of course, but anywho. All right, so this trial, back to this trial. So anyway, Melanie is going to be the focus of our breaks and lunch today. I've got video ready to go. I have trimmed out all of the long pauses, the stuff that we don't need to hear from, oh my gosh. You guys, listening to that trial, I don't think, and for those of you that did watch or listen to the trial of her first trial, do you guys feel like her attorneys were that effective? Did you feel like, oh yeah, they're killing it, or you know, they're doing okay with what they have, or any? I was very unimpressed with them, just from what I've seen so far. I love Happy and Prosperous Mark. That's my favorite. My dragon cash. Yeah, you got a full screen of Buddhas. Ooh, you must have rubbed his tummy when you sat down. So I don't know. Just, for one thing, I know the one guy. It's an older gentleman. He probably has a very good reputation, but his co-counsel was just really slow
We're
in
on the record,
questions
State
and
of
all that.
Arizona versus Daybell.
I hate the lighting in this courtroom.
CR 2021-001704. State's counsel's present, the defendant's present with advisory counsel. Is your paralegal or investigator going to join you today?
Yes, she's on her way as far as I know, Your Honor.
All right, have you received some motions that the state filed since we were last here on Thursday?
I just did this morning, actually.
Let's make sure you have them all. So last Friday I received from the state, oops, wrong one. It was an email sent from the state to my judicial assistant, copied on the email where the advisory councils, as well as I think your paralegal. Is your paralegal Anna Ramirez?
Yes.
Okay, so she was copied on that, and that had to do with the subpoena that was served on Bobby Vallow. Have you seen that?
I have not seen it. I did hear about it, but I did not see it.
So we have that to address. We have a motion limine regarding the questioning of police. Have you received that one?
I just received that one, yes.
State's third motion to preclude defendant's witnesses. Have you seen that?
I just have those two, but not the first one that you mentioned.
Okay, how about motion limine regarding the testimony of a video observed by Janice Cox and Summer Shiflett?
I do not have that one.
All right. Do you have does advisory council have a copy of that one? No.
Here's a copy.
Okay. Are any of these issues something I need to deal with for this morning between 10 and noon?
Judge, the only thing is I would like to have, at the very least, those subpoenas that have been filed sealed, since they are in violation right now of victims' rights.
It is, in addition to the one on Robert Bobby Vallow, which other one?
The state sent an updated. We also, Brandon Boudreau is not a victim in this case, but he is a victim in the CR 2022, and his subpoena was also filed with the clerk's office.
All right, it's ordered sealing those two subpoenas. Are there the issue regarding the questioning of police or detectives about why there wasn't an arrest immediately, or why it took a while for the case to be charged? Is that something it's gonna come up this morning?
No.
Okay, let's deal with, I want to give you a chance to make sure you read all these, and so that's something maybe we can deal with at about 1:15 today or later this afternoon. But do we have our jury? My staff is out there. I know one juror was running late.
Lori's running solo right now. Hey, Buzzman.
Do you want to have
Welcome
your
in,
next?
everybody.
witness waiting in the back?
Sure.
Why don't we do that? Do you have everyone? We're still missing one. I'm about to call them right now. Okay, still missing a juror. So I think we're gonna have to wait a few minutes to see if this juror's gonna. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
As soon as he got up, I had taken a big bite of my sub, and I couldn't come right back on. I'm starving. We have Laura in the house today, everyone. Miss Laura, how are you feeling, my love? We hope you're feeling better. You're going to have a little something tomorrow sent to you, or somebody around noonish, early noon is going to be knocking on your door tomorrow. Yeah, Buzzman. Kay is a Southern belle, but Southern women, man, we get hot, we get heated. Oh, and you mess with her brother, you mess with her grandkids. I mean, I give her kudos for holding it together and not going off on Lori. Can you imagine the disdain that she has for that woman? Okay. So the judge says we're starting early and nobody listened. Apparently, except for us. And Lori. Just kidding. I bet she's pissed because her people aren't there. She'll get over it. Lori, do you want to come up and say anything while we have time? You don't have to, but I thought this would be a great time for you to say hey to everybody. Depends on how you feel. Okay. I'm adding you to the stage. Okay, you're added to the stage, and I can hear your audio a little bit.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Well, tell us all about what's going on. Tell us about the health.
No, I'm still miserable, but I'm recovering and I have a voice and a throat again.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, they had to shove a tube down my throat, so it got very inflamed and irritated, and I ended up coughing and ripping open stitches, and not a good few days, but I'm glad you asked me to come up here because I really, really wanted to thank everyone in chat. You guys made that so much easier for my daughter, for me, for Eric, all of us. Just the kind words, the support, the reaching out, the emails, the text messages. You guys are absolutely amazing.
No. Everybody was worried about you.
She showed me some of them.
Did she?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to. Bam and I didn't go into a ton of detail. I don't know if you want to tell everybody about being in the hospital. It's up to you completely.
I have been battling abdominal stomach cancer, and I've been on low dose medications, but the cyst or the tumors were getting bigger instead of smaller. So I had to go in for some more testing just to see where everything was at. And I think when they did the ultrasound, they pressed too hard on one of them and it burst, and that caused damage. I was bleeding internally for days.
2 days, you guys. 2 days after she came back from doctor, she said, "I'm hurting so bad. They must have bruised me or something because she said they pressed on me so hard." And I thought maybe she was just sore or whatever. They bursted it. Or busted it or whatever you call it. I
Yeah.
can't believe that. That doesn't sound right, Laura.
No, I've got to look into it because the doctor told my daughter if I had ignored it and didn't come in, I probably would not be talking to you guys right now. You guys would be sending flowers for my funeral.
Yeah.
So that's how close I was. Yeah, they drained 1.5 pints of blood out of my stomach.
Holy crap.
So I've got 4 different incision areas with a few stitches each. The swelling's starting to come down, and like I said, I've got a voice. Yesterday I couldn't even talk. So I'm up this morning and I'm like, oh wow, I can talk. I'm gonna duck on Kerry's real quick and say hi. So I'm glad I did.
I am too. Was your throat real sore?
It was swollen, almost swollen closed. They had me on the oxygen with the nose, so that I wasn't trying to breathe through my mouth.
Oh.
And just the amount of pain and everything that I was in, it was. I normally fight going to hospitals, fight going to doctors, all that stuff, but I knew with the amount of pain that I was in, which is why I wasn't on so much last week with you. I know the amount of pain, and when I had been throwing up, but the one time I threw up and there was blood in that, I'm like, all right, Melissa, let's go. And we did, and they did a couple of tests and immediately took me into emergency surgery.
Jesus.
Then when they took the tube out and I coughed and ripped everything up, and I had to go back in and get that fixed. But I'm much better compared to how I was last week. And again, I can't thank you guys enough.
Oh, sure. I just hope they didn't send you home too early. It seems like hospitals these days, they just want to get you in and out so quickly. And I was telling your daughter, I'm like, no, I want her to stay there as long as she can because they're watching her. They're right there.
I didn't fight them.
Okay.
They had me in like an observation area, which is very similar to ICU, but it's more or less for short term. So they had me in there, so I was constantly being monitored. And even now, there's a nurse that comes here twice a day and checks on me.
Well, Bama was keeping everybody informed in the chat. I made a couple of announcements, and so
I knew you said something because I got like 10 different emails. I've gotten text messages from the ones that do have my phone number. I was getting messages on mine, and I know that something was said. And when my daughter showed me some of the responses and the comments, everybody praying for me, it meant the world for me.
Well, I'm glad. But Bama and I talked about it, whether or not we should say anything, because we didn't know if it was our place. But then it was like, well, we need the prayer warriors in place, you know? So
I have no problem.
The more prayers, the better. So, yeah, that we had to get the word out. Patty got her group on it too. So, you know, she's got a whole group over there. She was with her friends that she goes to church with. I guess she had gone to watch a movie. Okay, they're back.
Okay.
Well, we're glad to have you back, Miss Laura.
I'm glad to be back, even if I'm just on and off right now.
Let's take this couple minutes while he's on his way up.
Just
I had
rest.
asked the advisory council and the state
I will.
regarding
I'm
the
laying
second
down.
trial, if they'd be willing to forego the first day or the Wednesday of their annual conferences for the second trial. Is that something that we can sort of hammer down the schedule on for the next trial? No, June. June. The judicial conference is June 25, 26, 27. So I'm talking about June 25th, half trial.
It's fine with us also, Judge.
Okay, so, and if I don't know what happened last time, but I think advisory council took the remote questionnaires that the jurors answered. Did you take them to the jail and go over them in advance, or you didn't? You did? That's a yes? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So the remote questionnaire would be similar to the one we did for this trial. It would go out the week of probably May 19th. And we can set the cutoff date, maybe the 23rd, to give the parties a chance to go over it. And then we would meet to go over those remote answers on May 29th, the afternoon, 1:30 on. And then we would bring in the walk-in jurors and in-person follow-up voir dire for May 30th. And anticipate opening statements and starting the evidence on Monday, June 2nd. I'd like to go June 2nd through Friday the 6th. I'd like to go June 9th and maybe part of Friday morning into the noon hour, the 13th. So 2 full weeks there. The next week will be dark. Then 3 days, June 23rd through 25th. And then June 30th through June 3rd. That's over 3 full weeks of trial. I think depending on how much longer this trial lasts, we'll be able to tell if that will be enough time or not. So I'm just putting that out there for planning purposes for everyone. Is our juror here yet? Yeah.
I know for March 20th, you said the afternoon. Could I recommend the morning just because we have 3, you're going to,
Which date?
for the pre-screening on March 20.
Not March, May.
May 29th, sorry. Could we go in the morning? If we have 300, I know we took most of the morning on, for this trial to go through 200 or 160. I just didn't know if we only do it in the afternoon of the 29th.
Here's my issue is I was scheduled to be out of state and I'm actually going to fly back early that morning to get this done. So we can start at 12:30 or something like that, but I don't think I can get back early enough. There may be additional
Yeah, they're talking about the scheduling for
publicity
Boudreaux.
issues as a result of this trial, but I still think 300 jurors would be enough. Does the state want to weigh in on that?
I think that's enough, Your Honor. I think we'll follow the same method of just striking the one as any concept.
All right. Does the defendant want to weigh in on any of that?
I agree.
Okay. Is our juror here? All right. Our juror's here, so let's get started. We'll bring in the jury.
All rise for the jury.
I bet Lori's freaking out, you guys, because she's by herself. Her people aren't there yet.
All right. Please be seated. The jury is now present. The state can call its next witness.
Thank you.
Somebody else was talking about how hot the judge was. Was it Nate Eaton? I think it said the women in the courtroom were talking about how hot the judge was.
All right, sir, come on up. You're going to stand right in front here and be sworn in.
You do solemnly swear that testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, you're going to have a walk around the court reporter, have a seat to my left.
He looks like a scientist.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Derek Baumgartner. I am a medical examiner at the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office. So I perform autopsies. I determine cause and manner of death for individuals who die under our jurisdiction in Maricopa County, run toxicology reports, and like today, testify in court occasionally.
Can you tell us about your education to become a medical examiner?
Sure. I completed a Bachelor of Arts degree in American History at the University of Arizona in 2005. In 2013, I got my Doctor of Medicine degree from the University of Illinois in Chicago. From 2013 to 2017, I did an anatomic and clinical pathology residency at Loyola University Medical Center. And then I did a forensic pathology fellowship in Denver from 2017 to 2018. I started in July of 2018.
Are you board certified in any areas?
Yes.
Can you tell us what areas?
I am board certified in anatomic pathology, clinical pathology, and forensic pathology. So board certification happens after completion of residency or fellowship. It consists of, in terms of anatomic and clinical pathology, a 16-hour multiple choice exam split over 2 days. And then in forensic pathology, it's an 8-hour exam on one day.
And can you tell us what forensic and anatomical pathology are?
Sure. Anatomic pathology basically studies tissues, biopsies, surgical specimens, sometimes whole bodies to diagnose disease processes. Clinical pathology is more of a laboratory thing. So think of blood or tissues or other bodily fluids that are tested in a laboratory setting. Also deals with lab management and regulation compliance. And then forensic pathology is basically studying what the cause and manner of death is for a person.
Ongoing training as a medical examiner?
Yes.
Is that something you do annually?
Yes.
So you told us that you perform autopsies. Can you tell us what that is? What is an autopsy?
So an autopsy is an examination of the external and internal aspects of the body to essentially find out why a person died.
And do you write a report after you complete your autopsy?
I do.
Does each autopsy at the Maricopa County medical examiners have a case number associated with it?
Yes.
And are there also photographs that are taken in conjunction with first the visual observations as well as any relevant internal injuries that you know during the autopsy?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to talk to you about July 13th of 2019. Did you perform an autopsy on a Leland Charles Anthony Vallow at about 8 in the morning?
I did.
And was that associated with the OME case number 19-05897?
It was.
You told us that were photographs taken sort of throughout the process of your autopsy, correct?
Correct.
And if I can have my paralegal bring up to the witness 152 through 179 that have previously been shown to defendant. Doctor, do you recognize those exhibits 152 through 179?
I do.
And are they all photographs of different aspects of the autopsy that you performed on Leland Charles Anthony Vallow?
They are.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit 152 through 179.
Any objection?
No objections.
152 through 179 are admitted, may be published.
Thank you. So when you first are assigned a case, do you begin with some type of visual inspection overall of the individual?
Yes.
I'm gonna put up exhibit 152 here. In every autopsy is a photo like this taken.
Yes.
Why is that?
For identification purposes.
And is that the OME number we are talking about that is associated and that we see in all these photographs?
Yes.
When you were first beginning this autopsy, do you take measurements of the height and weight of Charles Vallow?
Yes.
In this case, did you note those in your report?
I did.
Do you recall that information off the top of your head right now?
I do.
What was his height and weight?
Height was 71.5 inches. Weight was 207 pounds.
So just under 6 feet tall?
Yes.
As you were doing an external review of Charles, did you note any injuries to the front of his face?
No.
Did you look at the back of his head?
I did.
Did you note any abrasions or contusions?
No.
Can you tell us, what does abrasion mean?
An abrasion is a scrape that takes off the top layer of skin.
And a contusion?
It's otherwise known as a bruise. It's a breaking of blood vessels that causes blood to pool underneath the skin and in the soft tissues.
So if we have seen photos of Charles Vallow laying supine on the floor of the residence, did you note any abrasions or contusions at the back of his head that would have been consistent with him being shot and falling straight back?
No.
I'm going to put up 153. As you were looking at Mr. Vallow, were you looking for abrasions on any other aspects of his body?
Yes.
Did you note any on his chest area?
Yes.
Where did you note those?
On the sternal chest and on the left abdomen.
And so external chest, can you point out to us where that is?
The sternal chest is sort of right in the middle of the chest.
So we're talking in this area, and I'm going to pull it in closer. Oops. So if we see this wound here, where are we talking in relation to that?
So surrounding the defect.
Okay. Were you able to make any determinations as to whether those contusions or those abrasions actually were made at or near the time of his death?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your conclusion?
That they were perimortem or just around the time of death.
Okay. I'll put up some photographs of Mr. Vallow's hands. Do you look to an individual's hands to see if there are any injuries on those?
Yes, yes, we do.
Standard for your autopsy procedure?
Yes.
Pull this back out again. What do we see here in Exhibit 155?
Looks to be one of Mr. Vallow's hands.
And as we look at 156 and 157, would that be consistent then with his right hand?
Yes.
And did you note any abrasions to his right hand?
Not that I recall.
159, 158. Did you note a little bit of abrasion on his left hand
Yes, I did.
and a little bit more here on his fingers?
Yes.
On this hand that we see in 160, did you note any blood transfer onto his left hand?
Yes, there was apparent blood on his left hand.
When you were looking at the other portions of his hands, did you note any other blood on those?
No.
And again, 161 and 162, other portions of his hand, no other abrasions or contusions were observed?
No.
And no other blood transfer on those?
No.
Mr. Vallow was wearing a watch at the time, correct?
He was.
When the medical examiner is called out to a scene, do you go out there?
I do not.
Is someone from your office sent out there?
They are.
And our police basically told, to the extent possible, do not touch the body until someone from the medical examiner arrives?
Correct.
So when someone arrives at the medical examiner's office, are they still wearing whatever clothes they have on?
Typically, yes.
And if they have any jewelry or affects on, those are typically left on them as well?
Correct.
So in 163, is that a photograph then of the watch that he was wearing?
Yes.
Did you note any damage to that watch, cracked face or anything like that?
I did not, no.
Put up exhibit 154, just so it orients better. What are we seeing here?
These are Mr. Vallow's lower extremities.
And did you note any abrasions or contusions on his legs?
Yes.
Where did you note those?
On both knees.
Were you able to make any determination as to whether or not those occurred at or near the time of death?
They appear to be perimortem as well.
I'm going to put up exhibit 164. As you're visually looking at Mr. Vallow's body, did you observe a defect to his chest?
I did.
Is that what we see here in exhibit 164?
Yes.
What did you note that was?
An entrance gunshot wound.
Okay. And 165, is that a closer up of that?
It is.
And 166, is that again another close up of that?
Yes.
How do you know that that was an entrance wound?
It has characteristics consistent with an entrance wound. It is oval in shape. It also has a peripheral rim of abrasion. And there appears to be a punctate or small little red abrasions surrounding the wound as well.
All right, so when you are looking at gunshot wounds, are you trying to always determine if it's an entrance or an exit wound?
Yes.
And so you're looking for things that are normal and consistent throughout all entrance wounds?
Yes.
And in this case, you also noted something about some red abrasions around the edge. What is that?
There is a red abrasion around the defect or the hole. And it's a little bit eccentric on, if you think of it as a clock face, from about the 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock positions. That indicates that the projectile was coming in at an angle, and it kind of scrapes away the skin as it enters. There are also abrasions on the opposite side. They are much smaller and look almost like pinpricks. That could be consistent with what's known as stippling, which is when gunpowder strikes the skin after a gun is fired.
Can you tell us When you're looking at an entrance wound like this and you're looking for, you said stippling, what is soot versus stippling?
Soot is combusted gunpowder, so it's like a black powder, while stippling is caused by, as I mentioned, partially burned or unburned gunpowder that hits the skin.
Does it basically burn the skin when it hits it?
It could, but it's typically, it causes an abrasion, which is just a scraping away of the skin because it's hitting the skin at such a high velocity.
Okay. When you are looking then at this entrance wound that we see in 166 that was in the chest, you noticed what appeared to be consistent with stippling. In your report, did you use the word stippling? Do you recall?
I typically don't. I don't think I did in this case.
Did you describe what you saw
Yes.
and photograph it?
Yes.
Okay. When you are looking at the presence of stippling, does that give you any insight into the distance from the muzzle to the gunshot wound?
It does.
And can you tell us what that tells you about the distance between the muzzle and the gunshot wound?
Typically, a gun needs to be test fired to determine the exact sort of range that it will impart stippling to the skin. But if you look at textbooks, for a handgun, typically the range is, an inch to up to 4 or 5 feet.
The closer that the gun muzzle is to the person, does that increase the amount of stippling that you would observe?
Likely, yes.
Would that also, the closer the end of the muzzle to the person, would that increase the likelihood of seeing soot?
It would.
Okay. So here you did not see soot though?
I did not, no.
Okay. So this, have you ever indicated that for this type of stippling that you observed, you believed it to be anywhere from 2 to 4 feet?
I did, yes.
Okay. And is that because there's not as dense of an amount of stippling observed at this entrance wound?
Correct.
Okay. Now, did you recover a projectile from this wound?
I did not.
So there was an exit wound associated with that?
Yes.
Showing you 167. Where was the exit wound associated with this gunshot wound to the chest?
So it's on the thoracic back, which is like the middle of the back.
I'm going to put 168 up. Is that a closer up of that exit wound?
Yes.
Okay. And put up 169. Is that again closer of this?
It is.
How are you able to determine that that's an exit wound?
It has characteristics of an exit wound. Typically, exit wounds are not round like entrance wounds. They will sometimes be slit-like, as it is in this case, and typically they're a little bit larger than the entrance wound.
Now, when you are documenting injuries, do you measure the distance from the head to the entrance wound as well as the head to the exit wound?
Yes.
In this case, what was the distance from Charles's head to the entrance wound that we saw in his chest?
I believe it was 18 3/4 inches.
Okay. And can you tell us, or do you recall what the distance was from Charles's head to this exit wound on his back?
I believe it was 20 inches.
So about 1.25 inches difference.
Yes.
When you are performing an autopsy, do you advise what the wound path is?
Yes.
What do you mean by wound path?
The wound path is what the projectile encounters as it passes through the body.
What was the wound path for this gunshot wound that entered Charles's chest and exited his back?
So it passed through the skin of the chest, the sternum, which is the breastbone, the pericardium, which is a sac that surrounds the heart. It then hit 2 chambers of the heart, the right atrium and the left ventricle. and then it passed through the 9th thoracic vertebral body and exited the soft tissue and skin of the left back.
So for lay people, it went through Charles's heart.
Yes,
Was that wound immediately fatal?
not immediately, no.
Could Charles have lived for some period of time after this?
A short period of time, but yes.
Are you able to say when someone is struck in the heart, could they live from seconds up to minutes?
Seconds up to a very few minutes, yes.
Up to, have you testified previously or indicated previously in an interview that it could be up to maybe 2 minutes?
Yes.
When a person is shot in the heart such as this, could Charles have still spoken for that time period?
Yes,
Could he have moved after that bullet went through his heart?
he could have, yes.
So would it be possible for him to reach up and touch where he was shot with his left hand?
Yes.
Given the abrasions to Charles's knees, is it possible that he fell to his knees after he was shot?
It's possible, yes.
Would those abrasions on his knees be consistent with someone falling to their knees?
Yes.
When you are performing an autopsy, do you, well, let me first talk. As you were going through the description of the path, the wound path, you talked about the trajectory going through the 9th thoracic vertebral. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 171. Can you describe for us what we are seeing here?
That is a trajectory rod passing through the defect that was created in that 9th thoracic vertebral body.
So this rod that you're using is helping to show the path of that bullet through Charles's body.
Correct.
And just to orient those of us who haven't seen a person this way, can you tell us, is Charles's head up here?
It is.
And so this would be down towards his legs at
Correct.
the bottom.
Yes.
Okay. When you are talking about the injuries to an individual, do you also determine the trajectory of that bullet through the individual?
I do, yes.
So for this wound to Charles's chest that exited his back, what was the trajectory?
It was front to back, right to left, and slightly downward.
How are you determining that trajectory? Is there a modem that you use that's standard for all autopsies?
Yes, through measurements of the entrance wound and exit wound, and then also observing what organs and tissue have damage from the bullet.
So let me go back to Exhibit 164. You're looking at this entrance wound here, correct?
Yes.
And the exit wound that we see in 168 to determine that front to back, and then you said right to left and slightly downward?
Yes.
So the downward is the 1 1/4 inch difference that you saw from the head measurement.
Correct.
Could that downward angle be the result of someone just holding a gun at a slightly downward angle?
Yes, that's possible.
Could it be also from just the arm itself moving up or down some?
Yes.
Or size difference between people?
Yes.
You're not here because to tell us which one of those it was, correct?
I can't determine that, no.
As you were performing the autopsy of Mr. Vallow, did you note another gunshot wound to Mr. Vallow?
I did, yes.
And I'm putting up Exhibit 172. Where was the other gunshot wound that you observed on Mr. Vallow?
On his left abdomen.
And do we see in 172, is that what we see sort of above and to the side of his belly button?
Yes.
Were you able to tell what we see in 172 here, whether that was an entrance or exit wound?
I was.
And what was this?
This was an entrance gunshot wound.
And again, were you following the same view of looking at all the same aspects of this wound to determine that it was an entrance wound?
Correct.
In this entrance wound, did you note any stippling?
I did not.
Any soot?
No.
So would that tell you that the individual or the muzzle of that gun was more than 4 or 5 feet away from the victim?
Most likely, yes.
Did you recover a projectile from this gunshot wound?
I did not.
So there was an exit wound associated with it.
Correct.
Now put up Exhibit 175. Where was the exit wound?
It was on the back of the left shoulder.
And is that what we see in Exhibit 175 here?
Correct.
I'm going to put some closer up photographs, 176 and 177. What did you note about this exit wound?
This exit wound appears a little bit atypical. It has characteristics of a supported or a shored exit wound.
What is a shored exit wound?
A short exit wound occurs when the body is pressed up against a firm surface while the bullet is exiting the skin.
Does that cause sort of this different tearing that we see going on here in that exit wound?
It does.
If a person was, for instance, laying on the floor when they were shot, would you expect to see a short exit wound in that situation?
I would.
When you're talking about something pressed up against the skin, have you ever seen a shored wound from someone wearing a t-shirt?
I have not.
Have you seen other shored wounds in your experience?
I have, yes.
Approximately how many have you seen in your years of working?
I mean, they're relatively rare, so maybe less than 50.
When you were looking at this exit wound on Charles Vallow's left shoulder, was the injury itself what you would call sort of a typical shored wound?
This is textbook worthy.
Now, just like the other wound, did you determine the wound path for this gunshot wound that entered Charles Vallow's abdomen and exited his left shoulder?
Yes.
What was the wound path for this shot?
So the bullet passed through the skin and soft tissues of the left abdomen. It then hit the left lung. It then hit the back part of the left fourth rib, and then exited the soft tissue and skin of the left shoulder.
So to be clear, the left fourth rib, is that in the front of him or his back? Where is that located?
In this case, it struck the posterior or the back part of the left fourth rib.
Is that sort of in the location where we see the exit wound right there?
The exit wound is a little bit above the fourth rib.
You talked about sort of the soft tissue. So when this bullet was exiting, did it sort of hit both the rib and the connective tissue between the ribs?
Yes.
Did you also measure the distance from Charles's head to the entrance wound on the abdomen?
I did.
What was that distance?
I believe it was 27 inches.
And did you measure the distance from the top of Charles's head to the exit wound on his left shoulder?
I did.
What was that?
I believe it was 14 inches.
So the prior shot had a 1 1/4 inch difference. Was this one 13 inches?
Yes.
So more than a foot difference between the entrance and exit.
Correct.
Did you determine the trajectory for this wound?
I did.
What was that trajectory?
In this case, it was front to back, right to left, and upward.
Did you also use trajectory rods in this wound to help better describe that trajectory?
I did.
Put up Exhibit 179. Can you orient us first on what we're seeing here?
So the placard with the case number is positioned towards the head, and then the opposite is positioned towards the feet.
When you perform an autopsy, how do you open up the individual?
It's called a thoraco-abdominal incision. You've probably seen it on TV as the Y incision.
So what we see here is that sort of the abdomen of Mr. Vallow.
Yes.
And what we see here is that his back.
Yes.
And is this the spine?
Yes.
So does this reflect then the entrance being down at this portion of the body and the exit in that up left shoulder?
Yes.
So in this case, were both gunshot wounds front to back?
They were.
Were both gunshot wounds right to left?
Yes.
The gunshot wound to Charles's chest was slightly downward,
Correct.
and the gunshot wound to Charles's abdomen was upward.
Yes.
The gunshot wound to Charles's chest that exited his back was not shored,
No, it was not.
but the gunshot wound that entered Charles's abdomen and exited his left shoulder was shored.
Correct.
Doctor, given the trajectory that you observed that from the gunshot wound to Charles's abdomen that exited his left shoulder, and the fact that the gunshot wound was shored, would that be consistent with the shooter standing somewhere near Mr. Vallow's feet and firing at Charles Vallow as he was laying on the floor?
Yes, that's certainly possible.
Now, you told us that you don't go out to the scene, right?
I do not know.
So you would not have seen if there were any defects on the floor consistent with a bullet strike underneath Mr. Vallow?
I did not.
If you were advised that there was a defect on the floor that was consistent with a bullet strike underneath Charles Vallow's left shoulder, would that further support the theory that he was laying on the floor there, causing that shored wound when he was shot?
It would, yes.
When an autopsy is performed on anyone, is blood collected to be tested for toxicology?
If we can get it, yes.
Was that done here?
It was.
Were there any drugs found in Charles Vallow's system?
No drugs were reported positive on toxicology.
No alcohol found?
No.
Based upon your autopsy of Leland Charles Anthony Vallow, what did you determine was the cause of death?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Thank you. The state has no other questions, Your Honor.
Cross.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. What could she possibly question him about? What is her defense on this? Doctor, could you tell that I set this up? Do you believe that I masterminded this?
You did a toxicology report in this case?
I sent blood for toxicology, yes.
And what did you test for? What substances did you test for in that toxicology report?
There are 16 or 20 substances that are tested. Typical drugs of abuse, a limited amount of therapeutic medications, and then alcohol, methanol, acetone, and isopropanol, I believe.
But not generally like someone's regular medications, like for high blood pressure or something like that?
That would not show up on this test, no.
And if someone was taking testosterone that wouldn't show up on there?
It would not, no.
Human growth hormone would not show up on there?
No.
So just basically the substances that you mentioned
Yes.
are typically tested. And then if law enforcement were to ask you to test for something specific, then you would do that as well. Is that correct?
It depends.
On what?
The case type, what their request was, if it's even possible.
Okay. So if they were to say, we want you to test for a certain something, you would say if you could or couldn't?
Probably, yes.
Okay. And is that typical in your experience?
Is what typical?
For them to ask for things other than what you normally, the normal 16 things that you test for?
That would be atypical.
Okay. So normally they don't ask you to do that in a common manner.
They do not know.
Okay. And so in this case, you did just test for the typical things and no other requests were made. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. As far as the abrasions on Charles' knees, could those have been, you said that they were consistent with having been close to the time of death, is that correct?
They had that general appearance, yes.
And so those abrasions could have been caused by a scuffle before he was shot, is that correct?
Yes.
And not necessarily falling forward onto his knees.
Correct.
And then the abrasions on his hands as well,
What about them?
that they could have been caused from a scuffle beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm impressed. That was actually a good question she just asked there. 2 back to back.
I know that the state asked you if it was consistent with him, with the second shot, the shot to the abdomen, that it was possible that he could have been shot on the floor. Is that correct?
Correct.
But would it also be possible that he could have been falling when that shot happened as well? And then hit the floor?
Not really. If he was falling and still passing through air, not yet having hit the ground, that would not have caused a short wound.
So if he had hit the ground and bounced on the ground from the first shot, as the second shot was traveling, that could not be possible that he hit the ground when that shot was exiting the shoulder?
He would have had to have been on a firm surface to create that short wound.
And it could not be caused by tight clothing?
Tight clothing and short wounds is typically like a supportive garment, like a belt or a bra. In my experience, I've never seen it with like a t-shirt or anything like that.
Are you familiar with bamboo clothing?
I am not, no.
Or how
Oh no, here we go.
tough that material would be?
I am not.
Okay.
This questioning is sponsored by Lori's Bamboo Attire.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Available on Amazon. Let the light theory,
Doctor, if
light clothing theory go.
clothing like a t-shirt, bamboo, or whatever they're made of, would have caused a short wound, would you have expected to see the short wound also to the other exit?
Certainly if both exits were covered with that shirt, yes.
So if the person is wearing a t-shirt that covered his back and shoulder,
Yes.
then if that type of fabric somehow was restrictive enough or tight enough or stiff enough to cause that pressure, then it would have caused a short wound to both exits.
I would expect that, yes.
But you didn't see that here.
No.
Only one short wound.
Correct.
The other exit, not at all.
No.
You were asked a lot about different drugs. Was there anything about Mr. Vallow's autopsy that indicated that his cause of death was anything other than the result of multiple gunshot wounds?
No.
Thank you. No other questions.
Are there any questions for this witness from a member of the jury? I do see at least one question coming up.
I think we do have a doctor. Didn't we think we had a doctor on the jury because of the question they asked last time? Might have been the same one that was on the phone with his daughter. And he got reprimanded. I guess the only thing that would be questionable is if there was any way they could tell that there was a scuffle beforehand. But how can you tell that? I mean, even the medical examiner is not going to be able to tell. Like, if you want to talk about trajectory and all that, then you're talking, that would come from the detectives and stuff, right? Or the CSI people. Judy said if she was on the jury, she'd have 1,000 questions. 144,000. The bamboo armor theory. I know. Yeah, he was on his knees swinging a bat. I think he fell to his knees and then standing over him. Because remember, they said one of the bullets was like going downward into his body. I think that before he fell that final time, Alex went ahead and did it again.
Were there significant amounts of blood in the left lung?
Not the left lung itself, but the left chest cavity.
Does that suggest the heart was still beating during the second wound or the second shot?
The heart could have been beating at that point. It's also possible that the heart was still and contained blood, and that blood just spilled into the left chest cavity.
Was there blood in the throat or mouth?
There was not.
Any other juror questions? Not seeing any.
We definitely have
follow-up from
a
the defense
medical
based on that jury
person
question?
on the jury.
No, Your Honor.
From
That
the
was a
state?
great question they had. They're thinking of
About the blood potentially in the lung versus the cavity. When someone is struck in the heart through the different locations that you saw in Mr. Vallow, where do you expect the blood to go after that gunshot wound?
The left chest cavity.
And you talked about that the heart could have been beating at that time or the blood could have spilled into the cavity. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. If the heart was still beating, blood would have been pumping through it, and blood would have been spilling from the two defects in the heart, one in the right atrium and one in the left ventricle. It's also possible that the heart was either fibrillating, which is not really beating, just sort of quivering, which often happens right before death, or potentially the heart was still, but blood that was in it at the time that death occurred would spill out of those two defects I just described.
In any of those situations, would you expect ultimately the blood to end up in that left cavity?
Yes.
That's what you saw.
Yes.
You were also asked about blood in the throat or mouth. Does the absence of that indicate that the victim was or was not alive for some period of time after being shot at the heart?
No.
Thank you. Other questions?
I wish he
All
would
right, sir, you can step down.
Thank you.
explain a
State,
little
can
bit
call its
further.
next witness.
That was a good question by the jury, and I like the way the jury's thinking because they're like, okay, did the second shot do him in? Because the first shot was supposedly self-defense, right? I mean, that's the whole claim. Was the second shot necessary? And I guess if I'm on the jury, I'm like, well, if he was alive and not completely on the floor, on the ground at that point, then he could still be fighting back. So the second shot might have, been able to say that it was self-defense. Does that? Do you guys know what I'm trying to say here? I'm not saying it very well, but the second shot was not needed. But honestly, how do you tell that? But if we have a medical professional on the jury, they're going to be able to explain a lot to the other jurors when they go into deliberation about how all this works. The other jurors are looking at this person going, oh, okay, I see you. We're going to talk later when we're able to, when they let us. We got a good jury, I think. Yeah, Lori has very few witnesses because most of her witnesses she's already offed. Do you?
All right, sir, come on up. You're going to
Who?
stand right in front here and be sworn in.
Do you guys think that they proved that he was in some way that she proved to the jury that he was passed for a while before they called 911? All right, I'm going on mute now.
All right, you're going to walk around the court reporter and have a seat to my left.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Mark Sari. I'm a special agent with the Social Security Administration Office Inspector General.
What do you do there?
So I investigate crimes and allegations of fraud, waste, and abuse within Social Security.
How long have you worked for Social Security?
Approximately 6 years.
And as an investigator with Social Security, are you familiar with the reports that are created and kept in the normal course of business?
Yes, I am.
And for instance, are you familiar with sort of the meetings and processes and notices of award letters sent out by Social Security for survivor benefits?
Yes, I am.
What are survivor benefits?
Those are benefits paid to a recipient. For example, if someone were to die or pass, their children would be possibly entitled to benefits on their behalf after they were to pass.
When a child becomes an adult, what happens to those survivor benefits that Social Security has been paying?
They would cease.
What if a child is taken to or adopted by or guardianship is given to another individual while they're receiving survivor benefits?
They would transfer to that new individual.
When a child has a parent that passes away, are any benefits paid out to the mother of the child?
Yes, they could be.
How does that depend? What makes the difference on whether or not the mother gets benefits or not?
So it's a benefit called mother, child, and care benefits. So for example, if a mother is married to her father at the time of his death, she would receive called a mother, child, and care benefit. So it'd be a dual benefit for the child as well as her benefit for herself. It'd be the same dollar amount that she would receive as well.
So if the parents were not married at the time that one of the parents passes away, then does the other parent get any survivor benefits?
They would not.
If a surviving spouse remarries, what happens to those benefits given to, say, the mother of the child?
They would then cease upon that marriage.
Would the child still get benefits?
They would.
Were you asked to look into survivor benefits involving Lori Vallow and JJ Vallow?
Yes, I was.
In your investigation, did you also become aware of benefits being provided to another child of Lori Vallow, Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
During your investigation, did you learn that starting in June of 2018, Tylee Ryan was receiving survivor benefits from Social Security for the death of her father?
Yes.
In 2019, how much was Tylee Ryan receiving?
We have approximately $18.59 per month.
Is there a representative payee for a child who is receiving Social Security benefits as survivor?
Yes, there is.
What is a representative payee?
So based upon a child being a minor, we would appoint a called representative payee. So that person would be the payee on behalf of that child. So they would have a bank account and they pay money from us on behalf of that child to pay for shelter, clothes, money, that sort of thing, food, that sort of thing.
So in the case of Tylee Ryan, was Lori Vallow the representative payee for Tylee Ryan?
She was.
And is in general, those benefits you said are put into a bank account that can be held by both the child and the payee?
Correct.
Now, if Lori Vallow was married in June of 2018 to someone else, not Tylee's father, would she still receive that mother of survivor benefits?
She would not.
Okay. How does a person go about applying for survivor benefits from Social Security?
So upon the passing of the recipient, say a father, they would have to go into the office or apply online, and then have an appointment to confirm the details for that survivor receiving benefits on behalf of that decedent.
And so that's the normal course of business, is to have someone come in eventually and speak with someone about verifying different important aspects to consider when determining whether or not to provide survivor benefits.
Correct.
During your investigation, did you become aware of Lori Vallow going to an appointment with someone from Social Security Administration related to JJ?
Yes.
When was that?
On or about August 12th, 2019.
During that meeting, did Lori Vallow have to answer questions relating to her relationship with Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Did she have to, for instance, provide the date when she and Charles Vallow were married?
Yes.
When was that?
The date of the marriage, and have to be refreshed from a document for that.
Sure. Let me see if I have the right one here. If I can have my paralegal approach.
Paralegal is wearing a jacket similar to Lori's, and her hair's sort of the same color, so it's a little confusing sometimes.
It would have been on February 24th, 2006.
And you can make that with them. During that meeting on August 12th of 2019, was Lori Vallow questioned about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were living together at the time of his death?
She was.
And what did Lori Vallow tell Social Security on August 12th of 2019 about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were still living together at the time of his death?
She confirmed they were living together at the time of his death.
Is that important in trying to determine survivor benefits?
It definitely helps the agencies determine if benefits are entitled to the recipient, correct?
Now, as part of your job, sort of working for the Office of Investigations for Social Security, did you become involved in looking at these benefits that were awarded to Lori Vallow and to JJ Vallow as a result of the death of Leland Charles Vallow?
Yes.
You told us you were familiar with the notice of award letters that Social Security sends out.
Yes.
And are those letters created in the normal course of business?
Yes.
And are they created at or near the time when that person goes in to make that appointment and a decision is made to provide those survivor benefits?
Yes, correct.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 213 and 214. Do you recognize what those two exhibits are?
I do.
And are those the notice of award letter sent to Lori Vallow regarding survivor benefits for both herself and for JJ Vallow?
Yes, they are.
And those are the documents you talked about that were created in the normal course of business
Yes.
at or near the time of that decision?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit 213 and 214.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
213, 214 are admitted.
And if I can get those so I can publish them as well, Your Honor. Oh, well, please, thank you. All right. I'll start with 213. Maybe autofocus there. Okay, so what we see here in 213 is this the letter that would be sent to Lori Vallow on behalf of Joshua Jackson Vallow, JJ Vallow.
Yes, correct.
And we see it was sent to an address in Santan Valley.
Yes.
Okay. Does this letter provide or advise how much money that Lori Vallow would receive or that JJ Vallow would receive as a result of the death of his father?
It does.
And how much would he receive as a result of the death of Charles Vallow?
It'd be $19.51 per month, and also mentions the back pay from the date of death for Charles up until that date of the letter.
Okay. So monthly, the $19.51, and then a back pay of $3,902?
Correct.
Exhibit 2014. When Ms. Vallow went in on August 12th, would that be the same, during that meeting, would they have been questioning her with regards to both JJ as well as her survivor benefits?
Yes.
So this letter is from that same meeting.
Yes.
In 214 again, this one we see that it's only addressed to Lori Vallow, but at the same 1658 East Sherry Street in Santan Valley.
Yes.
And how much money was Ms. Vallow set to receive as a result of the death of Charles Vallow?
It would be $19.51 per month.
Is that the same as what JJ was getting?
Yes, it'd be mirroring the same amount that JJ was receiving. Yes, correct.
So basically she's getting about $4,000 a month?
Approximately, yes.
Wow.
Now, in these letters and the other documentation you reviewed, we see her as Lori N. Vallow, correct?
Yes.
In your investigation, did you ever learn whether or not Lori N. Vallow ever remarried and became Lori N. Daybell?
Yes.
Can you tell us in your investigation what the date of that marriage was when Lori N. Vallow became Lori N. Daybell?
November 5th, 2019.
And who did Lori Vallow marry?
Chad Daybell.
No other questions for this witness, Your Honor?
Cross.
Oh, she's going to have a snarky response here, I bet, you guys. Do you know what the cost of living is when you're unemployed?
Mr. Surrey, the Social Security, as a surviving spouse, can you get benefits if you didn't have any children?
I believe so, correct? Yes.
Okay, so if you've been married for longer than 10 years, you get spousal surviving benefits. Is that correct?
There are some rules for that. I believe that is correct, I believe, yes.
And so if I had been married to my husband for 10 years and his previous wife had been married to my husband for over 10 years, she would also get that surviving spouse benefit?
What's your question again? Who's the she part? Didn't follow that part.
Okay, just a previous person who has been married to my husband previous to me for more than 10 years. I mean, that's what Social Security does, right?
I'm not sure. What is your question? I'm trying to.
Okay, sorry. So if there were two spouses to a deceased husband, consecutively, and they were both each married for over 10 years to that same husband, they would both receive a spousal benefit or could apply for and receive that spousal benefit. Is that correct?
That's more of an administrative issue. I have to obviously I'm not aware of all those policies for that kind of issue. So I can't really answer yes or no to that question.
Okay.
But I'm sure
So if
Lori
it
called
was
and found
explained
out.
to me when I was at the Social Security office that I could receive that.
Hold on. I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay, but it is possible. You're just not aware of it. Is that correct?
I would have to ask an expert in our agency for administrative rules on that.
Okay, and what is your expertise at Social Security?
I'm a special agent.
And so you just investigate, is that correct?
Investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse with Social Security, correct?
You investigate fraud, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but you're not really privy to what an agent might be telling a person as they come in to get Social Security, is that correct?
What they tell an agent, an employee, or what is your question again?
Yes, so you're not really privy to what the employees are telling the regular people that come in to the Social Security office.
I'm not there for those appointments, correct?
So you don't really understand what all benefits can be given?
We with OIG investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse. So we are the experts for that. And we also have experts internally in Social Security we look to for guidance on internal rules that are more complex, if that kind of helps you out.
Okay. So you had said something about mother in care benefits. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and it's the same dollar amount as the child in care benefits. Is that correct?
There's two benefits, for the child in care and also for JJ. They were the mirroring same amount, correct?
But wouldn't the mother in care benefits be for the child?
It would be if the individual had the child in their care, correct?
Right. So, but a spousal benefit, if you've been married for over 10 years and you didn't have any children, you would still be entitled to that. Isn't that correct?
My understanding is that you have to be a certain age to get that benefit, to be a certain age to apply for that. In this situation here, due to the decedent Charles dying, there was a benefit for the child only that was receiving, as well as child in care. So only two benefits were received for the child, also child in care as well.
So my question is, how is that determined by the employee? Like if it's spousal benefit or if it's a mother in care benefit?
It'd be up to the applicant to apply for the benefits.
So if you applied for the spousal benefit and they gave you the mother in care benefit instead, how would you know the difference? You just know that that was the monthly amount you were getting?
You would receive a letter in the mail. You also would be at the appointment very clearly told what you're applying for. It should not be any confusion at all what you're applying for at that appointment.
Okay, so if you were told that you were getting the spousal benefit,
Yeah, it's sustained.
if an employee told a recipient that they were getting a spousal benefit,
I'll allow him to answer that hypothetical if he knows.
if an employee were to tell someone they were getting a spousal benefit and they received a letter in the mail saying it was a mother in care benefit, should they call the Social Security office and clear that up?
It would be up to the applicant if they received a letter in the mail to contact Social Security and say, hey, this is the wrong benefit I'm receiving. So it would be up to the applicant to let Social Security know that benefit is not correct.
So if the employee put it in as something other than they told the recipient, then it would just be up to the recipient to correct that. Is that correct?
Social Security goes off of information that's provided to the agency by the applicant. That makes sense. So it's up to the applicant to be truthful and provide the right information to the agency.
So do you have a copy of my application for either of these benefits?
I'd have to ask the prosecutor for that information.
Okay. Have you ever seen one to your knowledge that you remember?
Yes.
You've seen my applications?
Yes, I have.
And were they for mother in care?
It was for survivors for JJ as well as for mother, child, and care as well.
So the application that I filled out was not for spousal benefit. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I'm sorry.
he can answer if he knows, if he recalls the answer.
Repeat the question, please.
I'm saying, so of the records that you saw, I did not have a spousal survivor benefit application.
The records I saw were an application for survivors benefits for JJ as well as for child and care as well. Two different benefits that you were receiving.
Okay, so is there an application for spousal benefit?
I'm only aware of the two benefits you were receiving, which was for JJ and for mother, child, and care.
So it could have been a mix-up of the employee. Is that what you're saying?
They would have been relying on information you had provided at that application appointment, August 12th, 2019.
And this is a filled out form application? Is that what you're saying? It's not just something you verbally give to the employee?
I believe you could do it online ahead of time, but you were present, I believe, on August 12th at the office to go through line by line, I believe, with that application.
So if I thought I was getting, if a person
I didn't get all the money. I just need to know what I need to do to get the money. Did the
So
jury
in your
hear that?
investigation of this fraud, you have seen all of my applications, is that correct?
I reviewed any and all documents that we have in relation to JJ as well as to you receiving benefits on his behalf, correct?
And you do not recall seeing any spousal surviving benefit application, is that correct?
All that I recall seeing was, once again, the two applications, one for mother, child, and care, and one for JJ as well.
And isn't that a redundant benefit?
Which benefit?
The mother in child care and the child in care. Isn't that that's basically the same thing?
JJ had a benefit for himself solely, then a second one to be mother, child, and care.
To take care of the child.
Correct. The child has to be under your care, custody, and control during that time period, correct?
So when you're receiving these Social Security benefits, they want them to be for the things that you stated previously, right?
I gave a few examples, but it is for the benefit of the child, correct?
Right. And it's supposed to be spent on food and clothes, and it can be spent on an electric bill, and it can be spent on rent. They want you to utilize that money on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
Correct. Or you could also conserve it for the child as well, but that is correct.
And that they can do an audit any time of your account to make sure that you're spending it on those correct things. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And they want it to be spent every month, and you can't really save it for college. Is that correct?
No.
So if an employee told that to a recipient, that would be incorrect?
The benefit is for the child. The money can be saved or spent on the child.
So if a recipient was told that all the money has to be spent every month on the care for the child and could not be saved for college because it is Social Security.
The objection sustained for it's straying into you testifying, ma'am.
So it is not your understanding that that benefit has to be spent every month. Is that correct?
Sustained.
So you are not aware of that? Could I have a moment to confer?
Go ahead.
So she's reiterating the whole thing that she was getting Social Security benefits after her husband died on behalf of her children. Is this not opening doors, you guys, for the prosecutor to come back and ask a question about why wouldn't she be getting these benefits now? And then he would have to say, she was convicted of a previous crime. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. I feel like she's. I hope Trina's ready to come back with something good on this.
Mr. Sari, you weren't present at the interview with me and the employee at the Social Security office on August 12th, were you?
I was not.
So you do not really know what was said. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you just saw the applications in the later time?
Yes.
What time about when you started investigating this fraud?
In or about January 2020.
And who is your superior?
Is your question who my boss is, or?
Yeah.
I have a special agent in charge who's my immediate boss. Yeah.
Sustain.
Who assigned my case to you? That's my question.
It's not really relevant, but you can answer, sir.
Are you asking for the name, or what are you looking for as far as your question?
The name would be fine.
At the time, it was special agent in charge, Joe Rogers. He's now retired.
And he was your direct?
He was my ASAC at the time.
And that came to you in January of 2020?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, redirect.
August 12th of 2019, when Ms. Vallow went to Social Security and had a meeting, what is the point of that meeting?
The point of that is for an applicant to come into Social Security, apply for benefits, and then have Social Security determine if they're eligible or not for those benefits.
You have up with you a paper that was provided to you earlier to review. After that meeting, was a letter sent to Mrs. Vallow relating to the answer she gave and the benefits she was requesting?
Yes.
Is that what you were looking at when you were looking at some of the information that she had provided?
Yes.
So in that letter that was sent to Ms. Vallow, what address was that sent to?
It would be the 1658 East Sherry Street in Santan Valley, Arizona.
And so that letter covers the answer she gave that we previously discussed of when she married Charles Vallow, for instance?
Correct.
Children that they had?
Yes.
That they were still living together?
Yes.
And then discussed what she would be applying for?
Yes.
When you, in your understanding and having investigated these crimes, does Social Security just start deciding for people what benefits they feel they might want? Do they make decisions for them? Hey,
No.
you look like you might want these benefits.
Not at all. No.
So regardless of whether any of us understand why Social Security would give benefits for a child and for the mother of the child if they're still married to the spouse, that is what you can get?
They would ask the applicant what they are applying for, correct, as far as for that benefit.
So when a couple is married and they have a child together and one of those spouses dies, the other spouse may be entitled to benefits for the child. Is that correct?
Yes.
As well as benefits for them as the mother of that child.
Yes.
So in addition to the initial letter after that August 12th meeting, then Ms. Vallow was sent the second two letters, exhibits 213 and 214, that showed her how much she was ultimately awarded.
Correct.
One of them, one letter was sent to her specifically for JJ,
Yes.
and the other letter was sent to her specifically for herself as the mother in care of JJ.
Yes.
And that's the one where we saw it was her name for JJ.
Yes.
In your investigation, you did not see any surviving spousal benefits.
I did not.
All you saw in looking through reams of documents was that Mrs. Vallow was receiving those two benefits that we've discussed.
Correct.
You were asked about when you began investigating this case, correct?
Yes.
And would those benefits for Lori Vallow have terminated when she became Lori Daybell?
Yes. Upon a remarriage, that mother, child, and care benefit would immediately cease.
But the benefits for JJ would have continued.
Correct.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I see at least one coming down.
I just got a call from my work, y'all. I have to go in. Let's let this witness finish, and then I'm going to have to send you guys to another stream because I have to go stock the store where I work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm on a limited temporary job thing, and I have to be there when they want me there type thing. I feel like she's asking all these questions, and it's like she's bringing attention to the fact that she got all this Social Security money and that she's now aware of all this stuff because she went, not only did she call, she went down there. I mean, it's like, it's really like this was, she's putting a lot of importance on it because it was very important to her. And she's just emphasizing that now. I know, I got to send y'all to the docket. I got to send y'all to court TV. Hey, Route. I know. I need to win the lottery or a big old jackpot somewhere. We'll finish this out. I told him I was in the middle of something, so we'll finish this out. And then if they go to another witness, then you guys can then we'll end. I'm sure that's what they're going to do. I don't know. They might take a lunch break at this point. I want to play off some calls and stuff, but we'll have to wait. We'll do that tomorrow, I guess. I had a bunch of stuff for you guys to listen to today. See if okay. So let's picture this: you're on the jury, and you just heard all this, and you're realizing what would you be questioning at this point, like? And one of the things that I was wondering, you guys, is like if the whole Social Security fraud, is that separate charges? Is that charges that she's already been convicted for in the other case? How does that work, I wonder? Because that's federal. You think she owes money back to Social Security? Yeah, I would think so, huh? So she had plenty of time to file and collect on Charles before she was arrested. Because remember, this all happened in 2000. Well, summer of 2019. Was it 2020 when she did what she did to so almost probably over a year? Because if I'm not mistaken, it was the fall of 2020 when the kids went missing. And the whole time, would she get the money for the kids? Well, I guess was she getting the money for the kids? Or could she have been because she was under investigation, because it was like that type of thing? Maybe she didn't get the money. And would she be committing a whole nother thing of fraud and perjury or whatever if she went to the Social Security office knowing? I don't know. I'm confused. Kind of load up on the short bus. I'm sorry. Y'all, everybody get in your short bus. Y'all try not to cause too many problems wherever y'all go. Y'all be good. This is taking a really long time. We've got to have a question here, but there must be a objection to it or something. Hi, Debbie. Welcome in. Well, obviously they're not reading them for him to answer because he's not answering at all. So they've proven that money's a motive in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, so if the kids were never found, then they would obviously have no crime. But once they were found, that the money went kaput after that. For sure. She was convicted of grand theft and fraud because of it. Okay, thank you, Mandy, because I was thinking that, like, wasn't that in the first trial? Didn't she get, but is she looking at something like that here because of Charles? Especially if they find that she was the mastermind of all of this? What were they calling it on court TV? They were calling it money, power, money, and sex. And I said, sex. And then I thought, well, I guess, yeah, her and Chad were together. Oh, that's so gross. Power? Yeah, I guess so, because they were all about calling themselves higher beings and everything else. You know what I learned in reading this Melanie Gibbs stuff is that Lori felt herself above and beyond prior to meeting Chad. Like, she had already told her friends that she was exalted or something, that she was a goddess well before. Now, I'm not saying it was before she read his book, but before she actually met Chad, she was doing that. She probably read his book and got the idea. I don't know. Mandy said, I don't think she's been charged with Social Security fraud in this case, just the unaliving and conspiracy. Yeah, this case is more or less the conspiracy to commit. But if she collected on Charles's life, that has to go somewhere in the restitution or something, right? She has to pay that back, which I don't know how she would. Let me see my notes. I was going to ask you guys. I will say this, that Lori had been hinting around to Melanie Gibb and other people that well before July 11th, that something was going on with Charles, and that she had a prophecy or something that he was going to pass away. But I think, just from what I was looking at, I think she got everybody worked up before Charles got there.
Were payments to Lori Vallow stopped after your investigation?
They were, yes.
Oh,
And during your investigation, do you know if Lori Vallow notified Social Security of her new marriage?
She did not.
oh,
Based on those questions, did the defendant have any follow-up for this witness?
Can I?
Do you have any follow-up?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Sari, you said that I did not notify Social Security of my marriage
Correct?
that you know of.
To my knowledge, you have not? No.
Okay. So you don't know if in Hawaii I was at the Social Security office and notified them?
Sustain. It's, again,
But you're,
testifying.
so would you have all of the information from every office in that regard?
From our review of the records, there is no notification at all of you ever notifying Social Security of that marriage.
boom.
Of the records that you had access to, is that correct?
From our review of these Social Security databases, which would encompass notifications, we have seen 0 notifications.
So if you'd
And what
reported it
would
in
you
the
have to do
database,
to put in a notification?
An employee would have to go on the record and make a change or make a report of contact, that sort of thing.
And so that would go into a major database and then it would be available to you as well?
We would have access to view and see if there was any changes made. There were no changes made after August 2019 on your behalf.
So none were made in November, to your knowledge?
There were none made.
And is that something that you would be made privy to
Yes.
in the course of your investigation?
Yes.
So it's not something that you could have just missed?
in the fraud
I did not miss
department.
it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we found that you committed fraud.
Correct.
So, to be clear, does Social Security use computer systems to keep all this data?
They do.
They don't just have pieces of paper lying around that maybe you miss?
Correct.
So whenever anything is updated anywhere in the country, it's put into a database that you were able to access.
Yes.
And you did access it.
Yes.
And you reviewed everything that was in there.
Yes.
And you at no point saw any information to indicate that any changes were ever made to those benefits after August of 2019.
Correct.
And Social Security was not advised that Ms. Vallow had been married in November of 2019.
Correct.
Thank you.
Financial motive
All
proven.
right, sir, you can step down.
Check. All right, guys. I hate to cut you off like this, but I've
Do you
got to
have
go
another
to
witness
my
we
other
can start?
job.
Go ahead.
This better not be somebody really, really good. I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna miss this. Maybe I'll be able to put my earbuds in. All right. So, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and cut off here. And then I will see you all tomorrow at noon again. Was it noon that we started? Yeah, 12:30-ish, okay? Because they're starting another 30 minutes early. I'm sorry. I don't want to leave. I have to go do manual labor now. I hate manual labor. It's just not for me. It's just not. I'm not good at it. All right, guys. Y'all have a blessed day. I'll see y'all tomorrow, okay? Bye.